Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host, Al, and today is a very, very, very exciting episode for multiple reasons, but if you're watching, I think it's pretty obvious what the most exciting thing is. We are in a completely new setup here. I'm calling it my set because literally what else is there to call it? And I worked hard on it, and I'm really proud of the situation we have going on here. And it feels very podcasty, very homey, very me. And I'm just excited that I'm not just sitting at my desk. It's like crazy to think about. Although this is only episode 21, to think about, I literally started sitting in front of my clothing rack in my old bedroom that was literally in a basement and had horrible lighting. And now we are in our beautifully lit podcast set or studio even. And I did it all myself. I built this futon, this couch that we're sitting on. I drew this on my wall. Sorry, landlords. But yeah, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about because you're on Spotify, go tune in to at least an Instagram clip. I'll probably post some pictures of the new setup as well, or at least, go check out some form where you can view this setup because I'm very proud of it and I think you will all enjoy. We also have some new setups for the microphone so that I don't have to be sitting at a table. I can have these wherever and they move around. So that's very exciting as well. I hope you can all hear me all right. I will adjust in post if I have to, but I am just so hyped that I can use my hands more here. I can sit crisscross applesauce if I'd like to. All the things. Puda can join me up here if he wants. I'm sure he will in a little bit. But yeah, sorry to ramble on about the setup. I am just really excited. Another reason I'm excited about today's episode is that it is the first episode of 2025. That is really exciting to me. I love a new year. 2024 was really magical for me in a lot of ways. Obviously, starting this podcast was probably my win of the year, and also my journey with running and doing the Rocky Run was another win of mine, but it was just a huge win for me to start this podcast, and I'm really proud of it. As you guys know, it was something I've been thinking about for years, and to make it finally come to life in 2024 is really special and will always the year 2024 will always have a special place in my heart because of me starting this podcast. So yeah, thank you all for being here. I'm so grateful that you have stuck with me through 20 episodes. I know I took a couple weeks off because the holidays were crazy and I had a bunch of people staying here, and I thought I was going to be able to get one up last Tuesday, but life happens last Thursday. Life happens and we're getting one up this week, and I feel good about it because this whole setup was not fully set up last week. So I'm excited that the first episode of 2025 is in the new setup, the new space, the new stew, if you will. But yeah, some other things. It was really cool to see the Spotify Wrapped for the podcast. I was in a couple people's top show, which is crazy. Also top 5 podcast shows. Our first ever episode was a fan favorite. It got the most listens all the way through. And so that was really cool. And we have over 600 plays on all the episodes combined. So it was just a win of a year for me. The end of the year specifically with this podcast. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be jumping into a brand new year of podcasting. I have a lot of exciting things happening, some guests coming up, and yeah, I'm just pumped to be in a new space and have a new mindset. And okay. I think I talked about that for about 5 minutes, so I apologize. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we are 86ing the pressure that comes with a new year. I'm really excited about it being a new year. I just talked about that for about 6 minutes straight, but I think there's also a lot of pressure that comes with the new year and the fresh start and the January 1st date that we see on our calendars. And I want to take all the positive things that come with a new year and kind of leave the pressure and the intimidation and anxieties that also come with a new year. In the past, we're 86ing them. We're at least working on 86ing them. We are about a week. Yeah, this will be the 9th when this comes out. We are over a week into January, and obviously that's still really early into the year, but I read a stat that by the second Friday in January, people already quit their New Year's resolutions. And we'll get into the word resolution in a bit, but like that is insane to me. So if you're listening to this when that comes out, it's literally a week from today a week and a day that people will have already given up on their New Year's resolutions, and that will be a week and a half into 2025. So just think about that. That's a really sad stat, and I think that stat comes from the fact that we don't really know how to like goal set, and like no one really teaches you how to goal set and how to figure out which tools and goal setting tactics work for you. So it's a lot of trial and error, and I feel like as humans, when we have that error side of things, we kind of just like give up and get so discouraged in trying to continue our goals or working towards something, because it's like, okay, I was trying and I already failed. I can't even do this for a week, or I can't even do this for a month. Like, what's the point in trying for a year? And that's such a toxic mindset to have, although I think it's a mindset that a lot of us do have and that society kind of has. So I'm just excited to talk about all those kind of pressures, where they may be stemming from, and how we can kind of work through them in these first early weeks of January. Obviously, the disclaimer of, goal setting and, resolutions and things that will work for me might not work for someone else. That is an obvious disclaimer that I say in these episodes. Another disclaimer I want to say is that I know I already did a goal setting episode. I think that was like episode 2. So there will be some overlap there, but that was, believe it or not, guys, about 6 months ago. Maybe closer to 5 months, but like literally 20 weeks ago. No, probably like closer to 25 weeks ago. So like about a half a year ago, we were talking about this, and I feel like goal setting is something that is always evolving and something that we can always kind of talk about and learn from and grow in. So I'll probably talk about it again on the pod. And if you're watching, Puda, just join me up here on the couch. Don't leave, dude. No, we're not going to do that. We are not going to scratch Mama's new futon. Stop it. So sorry if I repeat myself, but I think it's important to have these conversations as frequently as they feel right to us and to me. And this obviously feels right, considering it is January 9th when you all will be listening to this. I think I talked about this a little bit, but I like to share why these topics are important to me before I kind of dive into them in each of these episodes. And this is specifically important to me because in 2024, I feel like was the first year I got a bit more of a grasp on goal setting and was able to actually achieve goals that I set for myself, and was more intentional with the goals I set and a little bit more realistic. And even in the beginning half of the year, I wasn't very realistic, and I kind of learned what works for me throughout 2024. So I'm just really excited to go into 2025 knowing which tools work for me, the number of goals that work for me for each quarter or per month or per day. I think it's important to kind of, sometimes it takes a year of figuring it out. And if this is your year of figuring it out, I think this is a great conversation to start with, kind of removing that pressure of it needing to be perfect. You just get to kind of figure it out for a year or 6 months or a quarter, however long it takes you. And also, I feel like I'm naturally an extremely reflective person. So reflecting on last year's goal setting and kind of using that to prepare for this year also feels very therapeutic and helpful to me. And again, these episodes are, just as much as I want you guys to get something out of them, are really for me and my journey. So that's another reason I want to talk about it today, is kind of just work through feeling these pressures myself on here as well. And maybe you guys will gain something from that. Hopefully you guys will. So I want to kind of talk about where this pressure really stems from. And I mean, yes, I think it's mostly like a societal thing. And it's just always been a thing, right? You always just set a New Year's resolution. I actually Googled when did New Year's resolutions start? And it literally said over 4,000 years ago. And which is just insane. It started with the ancient people, you know what so long ago. And that's crazy. I forget exactly which area of the world started it, but it's just crazy how old New Year's resolutions are. And we've just been, okay, it's the end of the year. Let's all come up with what we want to work on January 1. Like, and it's just been something that we don't really put much thought into, but it just kind of happens. And we all say, oh yeah, this year I'm going to like be more healthy. And we're just like, what does that mean? And I think it's also, we come off this month-long holiday bender of Thanksgiving into Christmas and Hanukkah and all the other holidays and then New Year's, and we just are like eating so much food, drinking, maybe we're spending more time with family, so we're not, you're traveling a little bit and you're not able to like do your exercise goals or whatever you like typically would do, and your routine's all out of whack. And so then you just like are like, okay, January 1st I'm gonna go to the gym every single day in January. And it's like, well, babes, you just had a month where your routine and life was like looked very different than it normally does. So like it might be kind of hard to just like jump into being able to do whatever goal you're setting for yourself for a month straight or every day for a week or whatever it may be. And I feel like that can also lead to people feeling discouraged when they make one mistake and they miss one day, and it's like, oh my God, I can't even do this for a week. Well, yeah, because you're setting unrealistic goals and expectations for yourself. Like, we'll talk about this, but maybe start a little smaller with our goals, right? Maybe we want to do something twice a week or 3 times a week, and then build up to, okay, this is going to become something that I do every day. I also think it's just an intimidating time for people that like don't really set goals or haven't ever really set goals. And I think if that's you, I did a whole episode on goal setting, so go listen to it. But there is so many tools. There's so many like guided planners and journals that can help you with that. There's so many, the SMART goal setting that's like specific, measurable, timely, the acronym. And there's different ways that you can go about setting goals and breaking them down. There's different like charts that people do, like they set a big goal and then break it down into monthly and then daily or weekly and then daily, tasks that you can do to kind of achieve that goal. So there's so many ways that you can go about achieving a goal. And I think giving yourself, like I talked about a little while ago, the time to kind of figure out what works best for you can eliminate that intimidation, because you're going into the year being like, okay, maybe January and February and March, Q1 are kind of my figuring it out months. And then come Q2, I'm like honing in on, okay, this is what works for me. We're going to try to actually do this for 3 months and then see what happens. And then maybe by Q3, it becomes, okay, I'm doing this 5 times a week, or I'm doing this every day. And it's something that you've been working for half the year now. So it's actually doable, and you understand what works for you and what motivates you and what can actually get you to do the goals that you want to do, So I think that's where some of the pressure can come from, because we think, oh, it's January 1st, I have to be able to go to the gym 7 days a week, when we're not even preparing ourselves to do that. And we're just going from 0 to 1,000 so quick that it's just like unrealistic and unsustainable and honestly unhealthy, right? Like, so I think that's another way to kind of give yourself grace, is like, okay, yes, you want to come back from the holiday break, with some motivation and kind of, get back to where you were before that, but also give yourself grace. Like, you just were on a break, like you were out of your routine, and things are going to look a little different. They're going to be a little harder to kind of get back into that routine than maybe say in the middle of the year when you've been doing it for 6 months, right? I think the word resolution, when we talk about New Year's resolutions and goals, that's why I haven't really been saying the word resolution, because it kind of doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel accurate for what I'm doing and what I'm trying to achieve. It's not a resolution. A resolution feels very like, it's like the end of a story, right? Like we're resolving the problem. And yes, maybe our goals are to fix something that we do in our lives that we don't want to do anymore, to fix, our level, our health, or activity levels, or our healthiness. That's the word I'm looking for. Like we're trying to fix a problem, in air quotes, that we think we have. So I get where resolution came from, right? But I think setting, like using the word goal, or a lifestyle shift that you want to, like a task that you want to add into your lifestyle, is more like tangible in my head than the word resolution. And I like to use goal setting and his resolution just feels like, okay, I like curse a lot, so I'm going to stop cursing. But there's no like actual like task or thing you can hold on to like work on doing that. So using the word goal feels more of like something you're reaching for and something that you have to work towards, right? Like a resolution just feels kind of just like, okay, here's the solution to your problem, but there's no like action items, right? So I prefer to use the word goal, and I think people again look at resolutions in a kind of like all or nothing way of like, okay, well, I want to like quit vaping or something. I don't vape, but if you do and that's something that that you want to quit, like it's just like, okay, I'm gonna like throw all my vapes out, when that is just like so unrealistic, right? There's ways to kind of wean off of it that are probably a lot healthier and will be more efficient than just being like, okay, the resolution to my vaping problem is to just throw them out, when actually the goal should be, okay, this week I'm gonna throw out half of my vapes, or I'm only gonna have this one vape, and when this one vape runs out, like I don't know anything about vaping and how it works to wean off of an addiction like that, but you know what I mean? Like there's ways to kind of set goals and smaller tasks to achieve something that you're working towards and to fix whatever issue or problem that you think you have, rather than just coming up with the resolution and not giving yourself action items. Does that make sense? And I guess you could break it down into goals and still call it a resolution. I'm not saying like the word resolution is the issue, but it just isn't what resonates with me. So if that's something that every year you're just kind of like, I don't really know, like I don't have any resolutions, I don't really know what to resolve, like you can still set goals that are not things that were problems, right? Like you can, like I identify as an active person, and everyone can always, well, not everyone, there's people that like run every single day and go to the gym every single day, but like I could be more active, but it's not like an issue that I'm trying to solve. It's just something that I know makes me feel good when I am active. So it's a goal of mine to run twice a week or go to the gym 3 times a week, whatever it is, right? Like it's not something I'm trying to fix. It's just something that I know will benefit me and improve my quality of life. So that's why it's a goal of mine. I don't know if that made any sense. I might have been ranting about the difference between resolution and goals, but that's kind of what goes on in my head when I hear the word resolution. Like you have to fix something, and I'd rather look at it as something that I want to bring into my life that makes it better, rather than trying to fix something that's wrong with me. Because when I come up with things that are wrong, I tend to be more negative to myself than I'd like to be. And so that's a whole mindset thing in and of itself. But yeah, I hope that resonates with some people. Sorry if that made zero sense whatsoever. I'm sure you guys will understand what I'm trying to say. And so some healthy ways to kind of start off this goal setting, right, is, and again, I talked about this in the goal setting episode, so I'm going to kind of briefly go through this again, but I think the key takeaway from that episode was to break your goals down and to kind of go at them little by little. And I mean this in both the sense of like little amount of goals, but then also when you have a goal, trying to achieve them little by little. So like if my my 2 monthly goals are to, like, I want to be more active and I want to, like, pack my lunch more. Instead of saying, I'm going to run every single day and I'm going to pack my lunch every single day for work, it's starting out a little smaller and being like, okay, I'm going to run twice a week and for the month of January, and my goal is to only buy lunch twice a week. So 3 out of the 5 days I go to work, I'm packing my lunch for the month of January or the first 2 weeks of January. And then we see how that goes. And then once you get to that goal, you reevaluate and say, did I achieve that? Was that hard for me? Was it easy for me? Do I need to lower my expectations? Do I need to raise the bar for myself next week because that was actually really easy, or it was just doable enough that I feel like I can do better, I can do more? Like, that's where you have to be kind of like in the self-aware mindset to be like, okay, I'm going to do this for this amount of time. And then you have to reflect on it. You have to be like, okay, how did that go? And let's either do better, try that same goal again because I was almost there, but I slipped up a little bit. Or you know what, that was really hard for me. I think I need to take a step back and run once a week and pack my lunch only twice a week instead of 3 times and see how that goes. And then you kind of get it into your habits, and then, okay, next time we'll bump it up to twice a week and 3 times a week. Starting little by little is so helpful because, again, if you just say, I'm going to do this every single day for the month of January, you're going to get to the second Friday in January and you're going to probably have messed up a couple times because it's impossible to just do something every single day when you haven't been doing it. Not impossible, but much more challenging, right? And then you're going to be like, oh, okay, I messed up this many times. I'll try again next month, or I'll try again next year. And it's like, you didn't have to go that hard that fast and set yourself up for failure almost, right? And I think when we are setting those goals, like I mentioned earlier, setting a small amount of goals is also a really key piece to this too, right? Like maybe January you are just focusing on your health goals, right? And it's like, okay, I probably shouldn't eat out as much as I do. I shouldn't go out to dinner every single night or whatever it is. And that's something that you work on for the month of January. Instead of being like, okay, I'm going to make my bed every day. I'm going to run every day. I'm not going to eat out. I'm going to read this many pages. I'm going to drink a gallon of water. I'm going to like, it's like, okay, how many things are we going to be able to do accurately every single day for an entire month? Like when we haven't been doing any of them, that's really hard, right? So slowly implementing those habits and making them habits, which, what is the statistic? It takes like 21 days to create a habit. But then I recently just saw a TikTok that said it takes 66 days, which is like a couple months. So like, you got to give yourself time to get these habits under your belt and give yourself grace when you slip up, because we're going to slip up. We're humans and we all have bad days, and we have days that we're sick and we physically cannot get out of bed and be as active as we thought we were going to be, or do the chores or the tasks that we thought we were going to be able to do today. And that is okay, right? We're humans. So yeah, those are kind of my like quick overview tips of goal setting when we are going into the new year, is to just break it down and go at it little by little with the number of goals and the goals themselves, making the frequency of how often you do something a little, start little, right? Start small and then build up. That is okay. That is going to increase your chances of being successful at achieving said goal by like 1,000, right? Like it's going to make it so much easier and so much more doable and attainable and achievable for you. And you're going to feel prouder of yourself because you're doing something, rather than going all out for the first 2 weeks of January and then never doing that goal again because you gave up and you think that you can't do it anymore, right? And then I also wanted to share, my mom finds the best like Instagram posts on Instagram, obviously, and sends them to me all the time because she's just the best. And this one was like a bunch of journal prompts before you make your 2025 vision board. And I wanted to share a few of them because I feel like they help kind of with your mindset when you're going into this goal setting time. And I talked about journaling in the mindfulness episode, but I really enjoy a prompt, and that makes me feel really productive when I'm journaling, rather than just writing like, this is what happened today and yada yada yada. So the first one was, what is your word for 2025? I love this prompt. Last year I think it was intention, and then this year my word is discipline. And that is like something that I've been working on for a really long time, is having the discipline to just stick to my goals even when I don't have the motivation, and not only picking a word but figuring out, what does that word mean to you? So like discipline to me means obviously sticking to what I say I'm going to do, but there's going to be times when that's hard, right? And it also means to me leaning on people that I know are going to hold me accountable, and also trusting my strengths and my skills that are going to carry me through hard days, and knowing that even if I can't do this goal to the extent that I want to do it, doing a smaller version or a more realistic version for my body that day is still a win. And that is discipline rather than not doing anything at all. And I think giving yourself that, whatever word you choose for your year, giving yourself the definition of what it means to you, not just the definition off Google, but what does that word mean to you is really important, because it's going to look different to everyone, right? Like discipline to my brother, who like can just get out of bed and like go play pickleball every morning, is going to look a lot different to me when that's something that I struggle with, right? Like now I'm a bit more of a morning person thanks to this guy, Puda's sitting on the couch next to me. But like, that was something that was really challenging to me. And for some people, that's nothing, right? So it's going to be different for everyone. Another question was, what is one thing that if I fully committed to for the year would make the most significant impact on my life? And I really, really like this, because sometimes when you're starting off your goal setting, it's kind of hard to decide what you even want to like work towards, because for some people it feels like there's so many things you could do, or like some people just had like the best year of their lives and they're like, I just want to recreate that year. Like I don't know what to work towards this year. And there's always something that, even if it's just one thing that you really, really commit to this year, what is that thing and how will it impact your life if you do commit to that? And like envisioning that and journaling about that is so cool. And I talked about, when I did these, I wrote committing to this podcast and how it could be a really awesome, like, a business endeavor for me one day, maybe, if I keep, marketing myself and putting myself out there. But also it could just be something that benefits me, like, mentally, and like in my pride and feeling good about the things that I'm sharing and talking about and just being proud of myself, I think is a huge win. So there's so many ways that it could impact my life. So that's a really fun question, especially if you're struggling with even picking goals to begin with. Another question was, what filled my cup in 2024 and how can I incorporate more of it in 2025? I really like this one as well. Maybe not so much like goal oriented, but it just helps you reflect on what like worked well and what made me feel good last year, and how can I also make that happen in this year and make myself also feel full, fill my cup in 2025 as well. And that also helps with the hard days of the goal setting, right? When there's things that you like know you should do, but you're just like, oh, I can't do this right now. Like, choose one of those things that is going to fill your cup and then maybe try doing that goal again. These questions were a good one, but really made me think, like, what is something in my life that I am doing that I know I shouldn't be doing? And then what is something that I'm not doing that I know I should be doing? And I actually came up with like a 5 bullet point list for both of these. And I think that's kind of, I love calling myself out for things. I reflect very deeply on how I am as a person and how I exist in this world. And that was a fun question to reflect on. I'm just being like, what am I doing that I really shouldn't be doing? Again, helps you figure out what goals you want to set, right? And also just like calls yourself out and gives you a bit of a wake up call and being like, okay, I probably like shouldn't be sleeping with my phone like on my person, like literally on top of my body, listening to like ocean sounds trying to fall asleep. Like, I can put them across the room, turn the volume up a little bit, set my sleep timer, and go to sleep, right? Like, I don't need to have my phone in my ear, right? So different things like that can help you with your goal setting, but also just be like a bit of a wake up call when you're like, all right, the fact that I could come up with 6 things that I'm doing that I know I shouldn't be doing, or that I'm not doing and I know I should be, is like, all right, girl, let's take a bit of a grasp of our lives back, right? Oh, I like this one too. By this time next year, what professional skills or wins would I like to be celebrating? This feels fun. It could be like literally anything, like learning a new language or something, like a skill that you want to learn. But it also can be like taking the next step in your career, and then you can figure out goals towards that, whether that's like applying to jobs or networking or, attending trainings and things like that. Like, there's so many ways you could kind of go with that and break that down. And I talked about this in the goal setting episode, but there's so many different categories of our lives that I like to set goals in, professional, personal, fitness, health. There's more financial, things like that. I even have a section for goals with Puda, like how I want our bond and our relationship to be, things I want to train him on. And it's like, there's so many different areas. So it's fun to kind of break it all down and think about, like, you could put any category of goals in this question and just say, by this time next year, what personal skills or goals would I like to be celebrating, or wins, right? And like, what fitness goals would I like to be celebrating? Like, you could fill the blank in with really any of your categories of goals and journal about that. And then I will end with this question. When I imagine my best self, what habits does she do consistently to keep up with her physical, mental, and emotional health? And this was a good one to journal. I like literally went through my day and wrote what things that the best version of me does. And it starts with making my bed, drinking a glass of water the first thing, not scrolling on my phone the first thing I do when I wake up, and you go throughout your day and, make a list of these habits that you would do if you were the best version of yourself. And that's almost like a manifestation tactic as well, when you kind of write out, what would my life look like if I was the best version of myself every single day? And then you kind of start to be that person, right? And another like goal setting tactic or manifestation tactic is to journal like you, or speak out loud like you already have, or you already do those things that you want to have and do. And that prompt kind of felt like that, right? Like, I wake up in the morning and I do this and I do this, and then I go here and I take care of Puda, whatever. And it's like, okay, I wrote that down so quickly and so easily. Like, now let me see which of these I can start to implement into my life. And it kind of gives you motivation and a path for your like daily goals, your everyday life, right? Those were some of the key journal prompts that stood out to me. There, again, are so many prompts and ways you can go with any of these topics, the different areas of goal setting, the categories in your life. And if you guys have thoughts or other plans, I would love to hear your New Year's goals that you've set for yourself. If you haven't done any yet, try some of these journal prompts and let me know what you come up with in the comments. I would love to hear people's goals. We can be each other's kind of accountability partners from afar. If you need an accountability partner, let me know. I love to check in with people, whether it's monthly, bi-weekly. Marina and I just started doing accountability calls, and I'm really excited for it. So, I now know what she's working on this year and she knows what I'm working on this year, so we can kind of check in and hold each other accountable. And that's a really also another good way to achieve your goals is tell someone about them, because then they'll check in with you and be like, oh, how is your marathon training going? And you're like, oh, well, I haven't really ran at all this month. And it's like, okay, well, let's maybe go on a run together, So using the people that you have around you, using all the tools you have is such a good way to kind of also relieve that pressure of the new year and to just talk about it, journal about it, listen to podcasts about it. Hopefully this episode gave you a little bit of motivation to kind of get on track or started with your goals if you haven't already. I've just kind of started getting my ideas and thoughts together around what I want to accomplish this year. So this episode felt like a perfect time and a perfect topic to do for you all today. I think that's it. Thank you all so much for listening to episode 21. We are just getting started. It is 2025, and one of my goals is to get to episode 65 in this year, and I think we can do it. That's like 44 more episodes, and we have 52 weeks in the year, so I think we can do it. I love you all so much. I am so proud of every single one of you. If no one's told you recently, I am proud of you and I love you. And I hope you know that you're kicking life's butt and use the motivation of 2025 to your advantage and 86 any of the pressures that it's making you feel, because you have got this. I know it and I believe in you. I will see you all in the next one. Bye. Also, let me know what you think of the set. Okay, bye.